Coach Nelson. What's up, bud? Could these lights get any brighter?
Hi, Coach.
Hey.
Nikki Edwards, Yahoo Sports. As you've been going out throughout spring, how much has it been installation and experimentation with developing this defense?
It's been a little bit of both, right? Both and not either or. You have to figure out exactly what the personnel is, what the guys feel really confident doing, teaching them the fundamentals that we want to see displayed on tape, but also maximizing who they are as players. So maximizing strengths and trying to minimize weaknesses, but work on them at the same time. So certainly you want it to have a visible representation of what our identity needs to be, right? And who we are as coaches. But absolutely, we have to play to those strengths.
Hey, Coach Tyler King with the Denver Gazette. Last time we talked to you was the first week of spring ball. Just curious what strides you've seen from your unit as a whole over the last 3-4 weeks now.
Yeah, great question, Tyler. We had 4 big goals for spring ball: develop an identity, right? And what that identity means, establish what the fundamentals of our defensive structure would be, and the footwork, the eye placement and progression, and the hand placement in terms of striking blocks and attacking the ball, situationally becoming smarter so that we can play faster. And so, I think we really established an identity this spring. I think the guys bought into what we were trying to preach and what we believe in. We have some really good kids who both want to display how good they are in terms of the type of athletes and football players and demonstrate the work that they put in, but also want to do what they're being coached to do. We don't have a lot of guys trying to freestyle and do their own thing. So that helps you play team defense, and team defense at a high level, if it can be played at an elite level, helps win games.
Hi, Coach. Just kind of building off that, because we did talk to you so early during spring ball.
Mhm.
You were apprehensive to talk about standouts at that point.
Yeah.
Now that you're 14 practices in, have there been some guys that have been pretty consistent in terms of their performance?
That's a great question. I knew that one was coming at some point. Yeah, we finally got pads on. I think when you coach football and you've been around this game for as long as I have, more than half of my life as a player and as a coach, you are reticent to talk about how good a football player is if they don't have pads on. But since they have had pads on, there's been a couple of guys probably at each position that have stood out. I'll stick primarily to my position. I think Tyler Martinez has come in and done really well. Really smart. Don't make a lot of mistakes. Very confident. He's seen a lot of football, played a lot of football, and puts in the time outside of what's required. I think that's the same thing with Gideon Lampron. Exceptional athlete, very explosive, but puts it on tape too. He plays extremely fast. And I've liked what I've seen out of him. Leonga as well. He has really displayed the type of athleticism, the intellect that he has as a player, and he doesn't let a lot of stuff slow him down, whether it's people trying to block him, a call that puts a little bit of stress on him in his position. He's going to get to the ball. So excited about those 3, but again, we have standouts at each position that have done really well. This past week, we kind of had a debrief with players and talked about strengths and weaknesses and areas that we need to grow in. And so we've been pleased.
Rylan Scholes from Marve Report. This is the first time that most of these guys are working together or playing together on the field, since everyone is kind of coming in this year. How has the chemistry between these guys kind of evolved over spring ball?
Yeah, so it's a very unique proposition, right? When you are trying to meld a team of folks who just hadn't been around each other for a whole lot. So on the front end, in order to establish a relationship, you got to communicate, right? And you got to communicate and then collaborate based on what that communication was. So it was a lot of, hey, who are we as individuals, as people outside of football? And then when we get to the confines of football and teaching it, coaching it, and playing it on the field, we bring that whole person to that space, right? And so we took a lot of time to be really intentional and figuring each other out. And so that way, when the tension or the adversity of football does come, because at some point the ball has to be snapped, right? You know who you're standing next to, both in the nets, in the trenches on the sideline as coaches, but also in the real trenches on the field. Good question.
Hey, Coach Brian Howell, the Daily Camera. I have 2 questions for you. First off, as far as the pass rush goes, how do you feel about what you guys have there as far as players able to get to the quarterback?
I think we have some good players up front. We also have a package to where we're going to find ways to identify weaknesses and try to highlight one-on-one situations and matchups like everybody does, right? But I think we have some guys who are trying to do what we're asking them to do, whether it's movements, it's sound technique, and they're staying in the gap, hand location and placement. So I feel pretty good about that. We still have some work to do naturally, right? If we could sack the quarterback every time they stood up there and threw the ball, I'd like to. So we're trying to get to that point.
My second question for you is, when we talked to you last time,
Yeah.
I think it had only been a week since you were elevated to defensive coordinator. And you were talking to us about being off last year and going around different places and kind of reevaluating yourself as a coordinator, all that. Now that you're almost all the way through spring ball, how have you kind of seen some of those lessons that you learned over the last year apply to what you're doing right now?
Oh man, great question. They've applied every single day in terms of the way that I approach leadership and how I manage and communicate and collaborate with the defensive staff, my pedagogy in terms of when I'm in front of the room, teaching the defense and teaching the linebackers, my rapport in the classroom, understanding how it isolates from having to be tense. And sometimes it could be a little bit more laid back, but it's about communicating the information, extracting information from players, but then also making sure that we can outfit and deploy a defense that is elite and successful and aggressive. And so it's been a combination of those things, man. That's a great question. I refer to those notes almost daily.
Hey, Coach, Leo Rivera, abovestampede.com.
Yeah.
You talked about, your ability to continue learning. I just want to know if there's something you've been able to take away from the young coaches or maybe other people on the staff since you've gotten to Boulder.
I've gotten a lot from a number of coaches offensively and also defensively. In this profession, sometimes different places that you're in, there are some guys or coaches who are very, very, very focused on football specifically. And then there are coaches who are intent and focused primarily on the whole person development. And then I think you have these coaches who do a really good job on integrating both of them and holistically developing people and players. We got a lot of holistic developers here. And so I'm excited to be here.
Hey, Coach. Scott Proctor, DMVR. Good to see you. You mentioned the word identity a couple of times in a couple of your first answers. What do you envision kind of want that to be for your defense? And I guess kind of who or what does that start with, that process?
Man, great question. Yeah, so we've made it crystal clear who we want to be and how we want to do things. So we have 4 metrics. We want to be violent and aggressive. We've defined and gave visible examples of what being violent and aggressive looks like. We want to play extremely fast. So that's on the players to be aggressive to the ball, but also on the coaches, specifically me, in terms of making sure we don't call things or do things that slow them down. We have to play smart. Can't beat yourself. You have to understand situational football. I've been around a lot of football where it came down to one possession or two. So you want to make sure that you're being smart. You put yourself in position to win games. And then at the end of the day, you have to have relentless effort. Football is a game that's imperfect, played by imperfect folks. And so somebody's going to make a mistake on a play at some point, whether it's offense or defense. And what we have to do is make up for those mistakes or deficiencies with our effort to the ball. And you can do that defensively. You can't do it all the time, but the majority of the time you can. Yeah.
Hey, Coach. Jake Schwanitz from DMBR. We heard a lot about Boo Carter just this spring. Just what has been your impression of him so far?
Yeah, Boo has done really well. He's done a lot of the things we've asked him to do. We've asked him to do a lot. He loves his game. He loves to be coached, and he does whatever you ask him to do. So we're excited to have him. We're thankful to have him.
Hey, Coach, just out of curiosity, if you had to ballpark a percentage on the amount of install that's taken place so far and what still needs to come in the fall, what's the numbers you put on that?
More than one, less than 100.
Okay, fair enough. Another question for you. In the summer, I've always wondered because you can't technically be like one-on-one coaching these guys over the summer. So do you come up with like custom practice plans for each individual? Say, okay, here's what I want you to work on, instead of like letting them loose to their trainers who will teach them, God knows what this summer?
Yeah, I think good teaching, not just good coaching, but good teaching is differentiated instruction. And so based on how the young man learns, what he needs to improve on. We have a plan in place holistically for the entire unit, but also position specific, but then we partition it down to the individual as well. So there's a plan for everybody moving forward from now until report day for fall camp. Yeah.
Hey, Coach. I'm Jack Harlow, BuffInsider.com. How's
So,
it
Jack.
going? Wanted to hone in on another position group, just the interior defensive line, a room that kind of brought in a couple guys like Quincy and Josiah that kind of moved in. Just curious your impressions of that group overall and how you feel about the depth there.
Yeah, so we have some good size there. We have a lot of guys who have experience in games. The thing about that position and all of our positions, everybody's been getting very used to or accustomed to what we're asking them to do in our scheme, right? Because you got a lot of guys who played a tremendous amount of ball, and they've got some really good coaching in there with Coach Pun and Coach Ki. But it's about figuring out exactly what we're asking them to do and doing so on a consistent basis. So we still got room to grow in every position. But I like those guys are taking the strides they need to.
Coach, I want to ask again about the defensive line. Just thinking about that group
Yeah.
as far as depth, it seems like the numbers there are a little light.
Okay.
As you guys go into the offseason, is there thoughts of you guys want to add some players? I know there's no portal window, but there are guys sitting out there in the portal.
Sure.
Do you guys want to add some people on this roster?
At every position, if we can, we'll take as many good players as we can get. Right, as many as Coach Prime will allow us to have on defense, because I believe and we believe that competition only makes people better. Iron sharpens iron. So as many as we can get, we'll take. All right, thank y'all.
Hi, Coach. Nikki Edwards, Yahoo Sports. Coach Prime mentioned on Tuesday that he'd be interested in a home and away with Colorado State during spring practice. What are your thoughts on scrimmaging another team or having an exhibition style kind of thing during spring ball?
Yeah, I think if the transfer portal is going to stay in college football, which obviously it's here to stay. So I think that would be big for, being a former high school coach, you always get a scrimmage to see what your team is like. In the NFL, you get a scrimmage to see what your team is like. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to do that in college football as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be to the scrimmage portion, maybe, to the extent of, a preseason game, like a full game, but practicing against another team and getting a chance to see where your guys measure up and, what the scheme looks like against someone else, I think would be big for all parties involved and especially for, the student athletes to see, the work that they put in, the work against somebody else, and then, the cohesiveness that you have with your team. So I think that'd be big. I think it'd be big regionally for, a lot of teams that have lost rivalries and don't play against each other anymore for fans to get those opportunities to see their favorite two schools get out there. It could raise a lot of money, which could help, some of the boosters in their NIL efforts. That could be really great for all parties involved, in my opinion.
Hey, Coach Leo Rivera with BuffStampede.com. I wanted to ask you about the development of some of your young players and the open competitions on the room, specifically the quarterback room, and what have you seen from those guys?
Yeah, I mean, the guys, obviously the first part of spring was difficult for them. The second part of spring, they came back with an edge to really compete and fight every day for the job. But it was really about just maximizing the reps. I don't think they're necessarily fighting for the job. They're just trying to not count the reps and make the reps count from the standpoint of making sure that, how do you operate each play? Did it end in a positive play? Did you move your group forward? Did you make the right read at the right time to make the right play? So the guys have done a really good job from there. I think, from the beginning, if you're in our quarterback room, you don't have any choice but to work hard. So, I mean, they're here at 5:30 and they're going to stay here till 5, 6 o'clock at night in the off season. And then during the season, they'll be here, late as the coaches will be, and they'll be up here as early as the coaches will be. So from that standpoint, they're going to work hard. That's kind of all I know. So, just proud of the guys and their development of each day, leading their team forward, developing a voice that the guys respect and will hear them. When they call a play, still being young quarterbacks, it's really hard to get your voice in that huddle for guys to feel you, respect you, and then listen to you when you give them a command or an instruction. And all three quarterbacks have done that.
Hi, Coach Adam Ostertiger, BuffStampede.com. What is the most challenging aspect of implementing your offense, and how has that progress come along with your group through these 14 practices?
Well, now you got to think like I've coached my offense to little league kids, to JV kids, high school kids, HBCU, group of 5, right? So like now it's kind of like the system is kind of like foolproof when it comes to the language, the verbiage, and how to make it make sense to the guys. So from that standpoint, it's more about them understanding the standards and how to run it effectively and getting the reps to do it, right? So we have a lot of film, we have a lot of teaching, we have a lot of ways. So coaching the coaches on, I think this is the best coaching staff that I'm a part of that has wanted the place to work, who hasn't said, oh, why are we doing, you know, these guys have done a really good job. Coach Prime put together a great staff that's hungry for knowledge, that are great teachers, and they actually care about the guys. So from that standpoint, them implementing, you know, after I do an install, they break out into their meetings and they reinstall exactly what I said, and we're on the same page. And then we go out there and we've ran it and we've got a lot of reps. I think through spring now, we're probably, you know, close to 1,000 reps with the, you know, and then you add on all the walkthroughs and player-led practices that we had before that. Right, the guys have really stacked reps, and you know, right now, if you talked about where we're at, as far as we have enough offense in to go through an entire season right now, from the standpoint of we have every situational football aspect that you could have in, and we have, you know, all our base plays in, and then we have some special plays in as well. So we have a lot of our offense in, and the guys have grasped it really well.
Rylan Scholes from the Ralph Report, kind of piggybacking off of that. There's a lot of really talented new receivers kind of coming in, working with you this year. How have you seen them develop over spring ball, and how has the go-go offense what's the word I'm looking for? How have they kind of digested your offensive scheme?
Well, yeah, I mean, some of these guys have came from systems where they dominated the ball, and they've always, you know, been in the certain spot that's getting the ball, or they've only lined up on the left side or the right side. Certain offenses don't have the receivers move around. In our receivers room, we try to create basketball on grass. So positionless football. That's been big for me for years, putting, you know, the Xavier Worthies, Jordan Addisons, and all those little guys that are 150 pounds, 160 pounds in the backfield, in the slot, outside receiver, moving them around, motion them around. So for these guys, just learning that you don't play a position, you play everywhere. And I think that's how you ultimately, you know, can stack a lot of success and have a lot of yards. If you look at our quarterbacks over the years, when we pass the ball a lot, they can rack up a lot of yards because you know, the defense can never get a count on where the receiver's actually at. So the knowledge pieces, I think that everybody that we brought in is uber talented. I mean, they have an extreme skill set. That's why we brought them in. I think it's just been the knowledge piece for them to learn how to play in different roles in different spots and not just say you're just this guy. Because if they want to go play in the National Football League, rarely do you have a guy that only just plays. If you're going to be one of those first 3 receivers to get out there and play, you're going to have to learn every single spot. You're not just going to play in one spot the whole game.
Hey, Coach Scott Proctor at DMVR. How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Not too bad. Coach Prime kind of made it clear to us that one of the main reasons he targeted you this offseason was your track record of points per game being over, 30. What do you think it is about your offense that kind of translates, no matter the personnel who is at quarterback, no matter if it's, at Howard, UNLV, Sac State, like what is it about this go-go that kind of translates no matter the level, no matter who's maybe running it?
Yeah, I'm still in the people business, right? Like I'm in football because of the locker room, because of the relationships. I come from 2 parents that are only child. So my football team was always my family. And so for these players, when I look at them, I tell them the way that I'm going to show you love is by helping you reach your dream. And to me, that's very, very important from the standpoint of pushing them, not letting them, be average, not accepting, oh, this guy's not good enough. I've coached with a lot of guys through the years, and that was really just the missing ingredient, right? Like everybody has great schemes. Everybody, at this level, right? Everybody can call plays that is a play caller. They've done it for years, but most people miss the heartstrings on making sure that you're developing the person and making the person be better. And then you're connecting with them in a way that you can push them past the point, right? Like I'm not trying to be their friend. I'm trying to make sure they get to their goals. So for some players, right, like we don't talk for years and then they say, Coach, you were right. And I'm like, were you an All-American? Then I did my job, right? Like my job is to make sure that they get to where they want to be and don't let them slack and take any shortcuts to get there.
Hey, Coach, Tyler King with the Denver Gazette. Obviously, when you give up a head coaching position to come back to being a coordinator, which you've done before, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period for you. Just what has it been like kind of working under Coach Prime this year, and kind of what have you learned from him that maybe you could apply next time you're looking to be a head coach someplace else, or maybe here, whatever that is, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Prime has been awesome from the standpoint of trust, right? Like he was filling me out. He was seeing, what I was about and what I have to offer. And then, he saw that, man, like Marion can do this, right? And so he's trusted me and passed the ball and let me run some things and do some things and have that trust. And I'm really grateful that Coach trusts me and believes in me from the standpoint of, it's different. I've gotten jobs, a lot of jobs, and it's hard to gain that trust with people, especially in this business, because it is such a, you're hot right now, then you're not, right? Like it's right. Coach just won 9 games. He was the hottest thing in America. He lost 3 games or won 3 games. And then everybody's like, Coach is terrible. Right. So football is so shaky like that. It's hard to gain trust because you're like, you always got to watch your back. You always got to be on your toes. And for Coach to be like, trust me with practice planning and different stuff that we do organizationally in the building. It's been big for me to see that, because that's where one thing that I have to work on, right? Like I'm not big on, putting my hopes and dreams in someone else's hands. Even if I do trust them, I'm like, so to see Coach me, some autonomy to do some things and run some things, it's been great from that standpoint.
Coach, Pat Rooney, Boulder Daily Camera. You talked about the quarterbacks a little bit, but going forward with
You
those
from
guys.
Pittsburgh, Rooney?
No,
Okay.
I wish.
I got
wish.
excited. Anything I'm hear a Pittsburgh guy, Sorry.
I'm a Chicago guy.
There you go. All right.
But going forward, those guys, especially Juju and Wilson, what do you want them to maybe focus on, concentrate on over the coming months so this offense can hit the ground running when you get together again in summer?
Yeah, I think the first, few months they were figuring out how to do the job, right? Like this is a new offense for them. It's completely different. It asked them to be a lot of different guys because we run a Friday offense, a Saturday offense, and a Sunday offense. So you're asked to be an NFL quarterback at a time. You're asked to be, an old school triple option wing T quarterback, Friday night quarterback, and then you're asked to, do all the same Saturday plays that everybody else does. So you're asked to really run 3 different offenses. So the learning curve for them, the understanding for them, I think that's what they were figuring out first. Now for them to really take that next step is about them getting with their guys and understanding where does he like the ball, right? Like getting this lineman who's struggling a little bit, talking to him, and making sure he blocks a little bit better for you, or the running back telling him where he's supposed to go in protection and knowing where each guy's supposed to be their spots. And then the next part is opening your third eye and seeing the defense, right? Getting a completion before the play starts and knowing exactly what the defense is, where the holes are. They're blitzing from here. We can replace it here. So for them now, it's watching all this stuff, going through their notes, and then coaching their guys, right? Like getting around the guys, building a relationship with them and a rapport where now they can play point guard right out there and they know who everybody is. They know how to move the ball. They know what the defense is doing and they can attack. The first part was them just learning what they were supposed to do, and they've done a good job at that.
Hey, Coach, Jake Schwanitz from DMVR. Just what has been your impression of the guys in the running back room, and what is it that you're looking for those contributors out of that room?
Yeah, I mean, all those guys can hit the home run. They've proven that. And I think our running backs really, when it gets physical, when it gets violent and it gets loud, that's when they're at their best, when they really can get their pads downhill, run through people, put their shoulder down. They're not great tagged running backs, right? Like we don't have the best when it's tag day type running backs. We have when it's physical and they want to go downhill and make plays, like they do a really good job. We have a couple guys that can split out and do some things for us out in the receiver game. But I've been really proud of all those guys, DT, Black, Damian, Jaquil, Micah. I really love where those guys are at as far as the mentality. I think Coach J. Mack has done a really good job in developing the toughness in that room because that was one thing when we first started. They were a little bit timid. I don't know if that was a lack of awareness of the plays and what they had to do, but they started off a little shaky and then they've been rolling. I mean, ever since that first scrimmage that we had, they've been they've been exactly what we expect in a running back.
Hey, Coach, with what I imagine is the most talent that you've ever had at your disposal to actually coordinate with, does that open some other things up that maybe you have been playing with in the past, but man, I didn't have this guy or that guy, but now maybe you do?
Yeah, I mean, last year at Sac State was the first year in my coaching career that I really felt like handicapped to call certain plays, right? Like, I'm a receiver at heart, so there's nothing better than the forward pass, right? So, like, to not really use the passing game as much as I've have in the past was like crazy to me. But to still be able to average 30 points a game running the ball like that, the way that we ran the ball, being top in the country running the ball, was like, wow, right? So to see that our offensive run game is that good because we had to depend on it, right? Like before, you know, when I'm at UNLV, other different places that I've been, like it's passing back and forth, right? It's passing, it's running, it's RP, it's all those things, right? So to see like, man, our run game could really be that good. If we only had to run the ball, we could still win games. You know, it's fun now because, you know, when I got here, me, Ray, Box, Coach Prime, we put together a plan of what your vision looked like for the offense and what do you want. And we wanted to build a wall of big humans, right? I want the big humans you can get. The Philadelphia Eagles, I think, are the biggest offensive line in the NFL. So we have big 6'8", 6'7" tackles. We have huge guards, right? Like that's what we wanted. We have big humans there. And then we have everybody who can touch the ball on offense can score a touchdown on one play, right? We don't have anybody who's like a possession guy or he'll just, you know, inch it down there. We have all explosive players that can hit home runs. So it's going to be exciting out there on the field. I told the guys today that we have to, you know, not be worried about our touches. We have to make our touches count, right? Every time you get a ball, like every time you get a chance to get the ball, you've got to make an explosive play. We're expecting you to make the explosive play. So that'll be exciting from that standpoint because we have a lot of guys that can hit home runs.
With that big wall you're talking about, I imagine that plays into the creativity of the offense, the sleight of hand, kind of three-card monte. Will you explain how important that is and why it seemingly from an outside perspective, have incorporated so much of that into your offense?
Yeah, well, being at lower levels and, you know, being at the high school level, like I used to have to switch the offensive line. Like, all right, you go over here because we're running this play. You go on this side because you're too small. That's why I started doing the option stuff, right? Because it was like, how do I get out of a bad play if we can't block these two guys up front? Well, we read them now and we, you know, don't have to block them. So now seeing it, right, like we've developed that scheme so much that with big humans running that scheme, like, and we started to do a little bit of it at Texas with big humans. And I was like, oh, wow, well, we did a few plays of it at Texas. And I was like, man, we could really do this. And then obviously going to UNLV and beating teams that were bigger and better than us, right? Like now UNLV is considered like a football school, but you know, when I went there, it was not that. And we had smaller linemen, but with our scheme, you know, we were able to beat some Power 4 teams and play in big games and make some things happen. So now having these guys here that have actually played, you know, Power 4 ball, started at big schools in the SEC, Big Ten, you know, I'm just really excited. You know, I'm kind of spring balled out right now. Being from Pittsburgh, spring ball is really not my deal. But I've learned to, you know, act like I'm a Southern guy and love spring ball and all that. But, you know, I'm really excited for the season and where these guys, they're going to get in the weight room with Swayze, get stronger, get fast. How they know the scheme. And the linemen are excited about it. The linemen are just excited as the skill guys are now. So we're definitely going to be explosive on offense this year.
Jack Harlip of Insider.com. Spring game Saturday. Just curious how you kind of balance maybe. I mean, you want to put on a show for the fans, but also maybe not show too much in April. Just how do you kind of balance that?
I don't. It'll be vanilla.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, fans.
Hey, Coach Brian Howell, the Daily Camera. A couple questions for you. You probably a lot of us have seen the videos on YouTube of you at William and Mary, and maybe even Howard, like teaching your offense. Have you evolved your offense over time and maybe added some different things where it's different than what you were teaching back then?
Yeah, the one thing about like when you create something, people think it's only like whatever they like about it, right? So like, for example, when I first started coaching, I'm talking about my first year coaching, 2010, James Logan High School, we were putting running backs in the backfield and running rail routes with them out of the backfield. When I was at St. Patrick, St. Vincent, a lot of the passing game that we use, I was using NFL passing concepts that all the NFL teams use. I was using that in 2013 in Vallejo High School, and 10 personnel, 11 personnel, doing that stuff. So like a lot of the stuff, sometimes, I'm like a middle-aged coach now, right? Like I'm unk status, as the players say, right? So I forget some things that we did in the past that were really good. And I see players, I'm like, oh, we got that guy. We can do this with him. We can, boom. And I go back in the old notebooks that I had, and we run stuff that we did years and years ago. And so obviously being around the guys that I was around, like I left being a coordinator at William and Mary. I had a really good job there. I didn't have to leave. Like Mike London is my guy. I was with him for 3 years. We're really close. He's a father figure mentor to me. I left to go develop the scheme and learn from other coaches, see how they coach and how they do their scheme. So I got a chance to be with Mark Whipple, who won a Super Bowl, right? Me and GJ Kinney were college teammates. We coordinated together and helped each other at Hawaii. And then I went to Texas with Sark, right? And so Sark's obviously has a great track record. And so seeing their scheme, seeing what they did and adding little pieces of what they've done with what I had already, is really taking it to a new level. And then UNLV, right? Like we didn't have the players, but we lost the right way. Like the games that we lost at UNLV were in the championship game to Boise and Ashton Genty, right? We lost to Michigan, who won the national championship. We lost the right way in the fact that with the scheme that we had, with the players that we had, we maximized it. And we got it all the way to the highest level that you could take it with those guys and that scheme. So I'm excited here now that we have a little bit more. Obviously there's great coordinators in this conference. There's great players. We're in the Big 12. I respect every opponent that we'll play, but I'm very excited about what we can do with the guys that we have now here.
The second question I have for you is just obviously tragedy at the start of this spring with Dom's passing, but it left you with only 3 quarterbacks. And so I am curious, like, do you, as you go into fall, would you like to add another quarterback or 2 to that room?
Me and Coach will put a plan together when we break here from spring. Obviously, I think we live with the Dom. We live with Dom every day. He's in our heart. We see him in the room. Like we feel him in the room still. But yeah, obviously from a logistical standpoint, a roster standpoint, we have got to probably add at least 1 more to the room to get through a season.
Coach, we've seen one of the guys who's run your offense the best, Haj, around the program a little bit this spring. How impactful has that been, and how much do you want to have him around, even more going forward?
Yeah, I think anytime, I always say it's hard for quarterbacks to coach, especially the ones that have played at a high level, right? Because of the way their brains think, the way they operate. Hodge is a very intelligent guy. He actually helped make the offense better. Like every quarterback did, right? Kayla Newton made it better. Jaden Marve made it better. Hodge made it better, right? Like even the kid we had last year, Cardell, he made it better, right? So like anytime you can have a guy who ran the system and knows the system, he knows exactly what I want from the quarterback, what I'm expecting, what I'm thinking situationally. But every quarterback is unique, right? Like from the standpoint that we do what the quarterback does the best, right? So we're going to make sure we operate in the quarterback's strengths, and we're going to challenge his weaknesses and develop them. But, when our quarterback goes out there, who's ever out there, right? Like if you look at Hodge was telling the quarterbacks the other day about, he said, I really knew Coach Marion had it. Like he was a great play caller when we had Matt Sluka out there and we were 3-0 and we weren't throwing passes. We said first read or quarterback draw. Like we put every pass play and we added quarterback draw protection to every drop back pass that we had. So if he didn't like it, he could just take off and go run. So we're going to adapt the scheme to the quarterback who runs out there with the ball in his hand. But it's been a blessing to have Hodge here. And just like I said earlier about relationships, right? Hodge might not have loved me as much when I was coaching him. So to be able to reunite and, heal our traumas together from me cussing him out and yelling at him and making sure that he was great because I promised his mother that he would play his best football when he was with me. That's been awesome to have him here.
Coach, you've obviously had the team has had a few injuries at receiver in particular, but I wanted to ask you about two guys, DeAndre Moore and JoJo, just how excited you are about getting them back in the fall and just kind of how you see them fitting in this scheme, this offense as well.
Yeah, those are real guys. Obviously, I've known DeAndre for a long time. You know, I recruited him out of high school and brought him to Texas. You know, I always wanted to coach him because of the person he is. I know he's a great player, but DeAndre's like a dynamic person, and so obviously you guys will get to see that as he gets healthy and gets to play. Like I said earlier, you know, like spring ball to me, you know, the guys that are good are going to be good. The guys that aren't, like, you know, they'll develop a little bit, but they'll still right. So DeAndre, he's been great from the leadership perspective and still showing up every day with a smile on his face and being happy to be there and leading the guys and teaching them like what it looks like to be a receiver from the standpoint of knowledge wise and studying and learning in the room. And then my man, Joe, right. Our connection is the University of Tulsa. I always make a joke with him. Like, you saw me every day when you walked in that building, because my picture's up there. But I love Joe. He's a great kid. His story is amazing. He works really hard. And I know he's like him and DeAndre all day long, every day. Like, you know, when we get out there, what we going to do, right? Like, they always come by and let me know, like, you know, they're going to make plays. And so just excited to get those two back out there, not only for their play on the field, but their leadership for the guys and their confidence, their swagger. You know, that's what's needed at receiver. Receivers bring the energy every day. You need those type of guys on the field to get the team's juice right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Big Dog Chico, Uncle Neely. You just saw the pressers for the coordinators right there. Marve and Marion, Coach Marve and Coach Brennan Marion, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Uncle Neely and I will give our analysis right now. Then we have Big Ben Finisev coming on later on. So let's bring on Uncle Neely right now.
And my
What's up?
dog
What's
just walked
shaking?
by me, man. I think it's his birthday too, man. Happy birthday, big dog. Coach Hart just walked by.
Yeah, Coach
Got to
Hart,
give my
happy
man a
birthday.
shout out. Happy birthday, Coach
Yes,
Hart.
indeed.
Y'all
Much
put the
love.
HBD in the chat for Coach Hart. Big dog Chico. Practice 14 is in the books. Only one practice left, and that is practice 15, aka the spring game, baby.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you wind it down, and the coaches are ready, players are ready. As you heard Coach Marion say, man, I'm about springed out, you know, and that means basically what we've been talking about the players. We're tired of hitting each other. We're tired of seeing each other. You see more fights probably breaking out now because you're just getting frustrated. You want to hit somebody else in a different color jersey. That's why you hear Coach Prime mentioning on probably practice to somebody else. Coach Marion even mentioned that also. What are your thoughts on the comments you heard from Coach Marion, Coach Marv? If we can go, you know, a roundabout way, just talk about it.
Around the world in 30 days. Two professionals, man. When you hear these guys talk about their craft, it should just give any fan a boost of confidence in this team, and it should give any hater a chill down their spine, because there's no doubt about it. They've been there, done it. They know what they're talking about. They are not only excellent in the X's and O's, they're excellent in preparation and in teaching as well, and in game planning. The relationships that they developed with other people on this staff, it looks like they've all been working together 10, 15, 20 years from a cohesion standpoint, same page standpoint. Chico, you know how it is, Chico. You
Mm-hmm.
play tight end, right? You've heard the head coach give a message, and you've heard the offensive coordinator give a message, and you've heard a position coach go like, hey, y'all, you know, that's what they said, do, but, you know, we're going to do it like this.
Mm-hmm.
That happens in organizations.
Yeah.
That ain't happening here. Like,
Right.
when you talk about one page of music, same sheet of music, we're on the same stanza, same note. What Coach Prime says is what the coordinator says, is what the position coach says, is what the player leadership council says, is what the players, the staff, everybody goes out and does. That's going to pick you up more wins right there.
Everybody's on
Because
the same page.
And bought in.
Yeah.
And because it ain't about me, it's about we.
Exactly. Let me tell you what I heard last night. Just last night I was listening to Mobile, Alabama native, former number 1 pick in the NFL draft. That is Jamarcus Russell, right? And he was talking about his career and everything. But he said this was very interesting. You know, he said football is I do it right, especially on the offensive side from a quarterback, wide receiver position. I do it right, you do it wrong. That's a mishap. You do it right, I do it wrong. That's a mishap. We have to be on the same page. I have to do it right. He has to do it right, and you have to do it right for all of this to work. You know, that's football. That's the ultimate team game. That's why I used to love it. And that's what I meant when I used to say I like the power or I like the scrum, because everybody is working to try to get the one type of goal is what I was saying. So I love this from this staff and how they're working together and trusting each other also. Where you gonna go with this one?
I'm trying not to go to your love
Keep
of
the
the
blinders
pile.
on. Keep the blinders
I'm
on.
trying to say, but you brought it up, and I'm not gonna touch it.
Don't
but
touch it,
but Jamarcus Russell is exactly right, and you see that dynamic in a lot of organizations where there's minimal to no margin of error.
Right.
You look at law enforcement or Homeland Security. Hey man, the Joker trying ain't got to get it right but once. You got to stop him every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or there's a catastrophe. You know, and so just like he said, and how you and I just discussed weeks ago in this program about communication, you got to have all 3 parts of it, or you
That's
got
right.
noise, and
Right.
noise leads to confusion, and
That's right.
confusion leads to chaos, and so spot on with that. And what you hear from these 2 coordinators being on the same page with the head coach and the rest of the staff, it just is going to show you, if you listen. Now I'm gonna tell you now, Chico, you can't be listening with that hate in your heart. You know how some people listen to respond instead of listen to understand?
Yeah.
You know how some people listen, waiting on you to mess up and say a word wrong instead of paying attention to what you're saying?
That's right. That's right.
You got to get that out your heart. Now, if you're doing that, you're going to miss how good these guys are. But if you just sit back and listen and just put on your football cap, these 2 coordinators know what the hell they're doing.
Hell yeah. You could just tell. Like, let's just start with Coach Marion, with him saying, and just you can look at all the offenses. I'm not just gonna talk about Colorado offense last year, but many offenses in college football. Hell, I played for one that are just straight vanilla, even though they don't even know they're vanilla. Coach Marion said, I got a Friday, I got a Saturday, and I got a Sunday style offense, dog. Basically, I can go high school, I can go option, I can go pro style, I can go things that you would normally see on Saturday. That's what I love, the variety of it. You know what I mean? What's the ice cream that has all flavors in there? Strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate that you could choose from.
I
What's
really
that
don't
called?
want to tell you it's Neapolitan because I want to hear your
Neapolitan,
guess.
that's right.
I want to hear your guess so bad.
Cosmopolitan. That ain't it?
Napoleon.
Napoleon. Damn, that ain't it either. Neapolitan.
Yeah.
I took a girl out one time and went to the restaurant. She said, "Oh, can I have a
girl?
Napoleon ice cream?" I said, "Napoleon? Girl, that's Neapolitan. Go ahead."
When you eat your Neapolitan, Chico, do you stay on one of the thirds, or you go across and get all of them?
I can make my decision easily. I'm a chocolate man. Give me the chocolate.
So you just stay on the chocolate side.
That's right. I might
That's
mix a little vanilla in there.
That's about the only time you do it with that ice cream. Yeah, that's what scoop all over the place, boy.
Give me a little mix. I mix it all up. By the time it's over.
But Chico, excellent analysis on your part about what Coach Marion said. And here's what I love about it. You don't have a contractual agreement with the opponent's defense. The only contractual agreement exists between the Big 12 and the 2 opponents, the ADs, that we're going to play on this date at this time, and this is how we're going to split the gate of the TV. When you get there on the field, the defense doesn't have a signed agreement with you that, okay, we're only going to blitz on 3rd down. Or, okay, we're going to drop 8 when this situation comes. Like, you don't have a contract with them. And so if your offense is not set up to adjust and take advantage of what is presented to you, you're limiting your own success.
Exactly. That's what offense is. That's what the best ones are. We're gonna see what they're doing. So we're gonna have our game plan, but we can make adjustments to whatever. You know, just like you said, hey, okay, all right, I got to find a way to block this guy. All right, we might not have the personnel to block this guy. All right, we're gonna run a different scheme where we're gonna leave this guy unblocked. You feel
Yep,
me?
and go out the backside.
And go out, yeah. So and use that deception, misdirection, things of that nature. But he has things in his bag that he can go to. He said they ran over 100, had over 100 reps already this spring. I mean, not 100, 1,000 reps this
Yeah.
spring, which is amazing, man. And that's putting in the work, and that's all offense is. You got to put in the reps, you know, because you got to
Dog,
know what everybody's doing.
spring break seemed like forever ago. But
Mhm.
before we went to spring break, we was on play 113.
Wow.
And
That's
you
what I'm
talking
saying,
to a
dog.
guy via his own admission says every day since ninth grade, I've written the play down.
Yeah, it's serious. And that's why you see him. He can run around out there with the guys correcting him and go celebrate with the touchdown and talk to the lineman here and tell the quarterback what I really need. Man, that's huge, man. That's showing that passion and that want to. And I know what I want to see from each position out there. Huge. Shout out to Coach Marion. He also has a former quarterback of his back there helping him out with Hajj Malik Williams. Talked about that relationship, how it might not have been the best at the time while coaching, but now look at it now. He's back there to help out, and what better to have than a guy who's better to have than the guy that's played that position and done it before under Coach Marion to help the quarterbacks at Colorado.
And he's a little closer to their age, and he understands, hey, tough through it, learn it, because I'm telling you, it's going to work.
Yes.
Like, I'm not too far removed from where you are. I know how frustrating he can be. I know how frustrating he can be.
Yes.
Like I tell people all
But
the time, Chico, let me tell you this, dog.
here we go.
Everybody want to work with Deion Sanders till it's time to work with Deion Sanders.
Okay. There you go.
I'm looking around, see if he here, even though I'm a clipping and sending to him.
Yeah.
He ain't easy to work with now.
But that's not go ahead, explain that a little bit more.
Oh, but the greatness that comes from it. All you got to do is just do it. All you got to do is just manage it. All you got to do is come to an understanding. Like, man, that process really does get you there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you sit there and you try to fight it and swim against it and want to do it your way, it's not going to work.
No doubt.
And so Coach Marion having a Hodge here is bridging that communication gap, increasing the communication success. Because here's a guy like, oh no, man. I know this is what he said, this is what you heard, but watch you right here.
Mhm.
Let's look at this film together. Let me show you how it was when I was doing this offense for him.
Yeah.
And they have a totally different relationship as coach and coach than they did as coach and player.
Right. And he might have he could help out with, hey, Coach Marion might, hey man, like you just said, but if he's yelling, this is what he really mean, or this is what he just said. Forget the yelling part, or forget him being in your face part. This is what he's meaning. This is what he wants from you. Don't be
Chico,
caught up in the emotion of it.
when I get back to Jackson, Mississippi, it's not one of the first things I'm gonna do because it ain't that big of a pressing emergency. But within the first couple of days of being home, I'm gonna go down that hallway. I'm gonna go to that utility closet. I'm gonna reach up there on that top shelf. I'm gonna get that box down, and that box says feelings. And I'm gonna get my feelings back for a little while. You can't bring your feelings to Colorado.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
No dog.
My man Gunnar White walking by, Coach Gunnar White.
Shout
It's
out
not
to
his
Coach Gunnar
birthday.
White.
It was Andre Hart's birthday, not his birthday. So
That's
he
right.
don't get a birthday shout out, but he get a shout out.
Sorry about that. My baby girl calling me this morning. She would call and say hello again before she got out of there. Hold on. Let me get Uncle Neely on. Then
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more though about what were we talking about? Let me see.
It just
I got my little softball daughter on here. Hey, Lika, Uncle Neely said I need to stop coaching you while you playing softball. That's Uncle Neely right there.
That ain't exactly what I said. I said you need to stop coaching her during the games.
Oh, she ain't say that. All right, I'll talk to you in a minute, Leak. Hold on. Sorry about that, runners. Y'all know, hey, we trying to be fathers over here. You know what I mean? Coach Prime also said this, as you were saying, that he's tough to work for or with, is because of what he's expecting from
Oh yeah,
you.
standards is standards.
Standards, yes, the
Yeah.
standard. And a
And
lot
he
of
gonna
people
hold
won't
you. He gonna hold you
that.
accountable to it.
He's gonna hold you accountable, and those are the people who will fall short or will feel like, I can't do it or whatever, or miss the opportunity because they're not trying to stay up the standard. You know what I mean? And reach that point. They're just trying to do their own damn thing. Well, those are the ones that get exiled.
Dog. Everybody's here want to go to a level higher than they are, right? I don't care if it's a media player, coach, or whatever. Everybody wants or should want to move up. And here's why working together is so important. It's hard to get drafted into the NFL when you're a great player on a bad team. Great players that get drafted are also at least on good teams. And so no matter how much of an individual thing you try to do on your own, you have to understand and appreciate. I got to work with the guy next to me and the guy next to him and the people behind me and the people in front of me, because it don't matter if I make a play if we don't make collective plays.
That's right.
Like being the sack leader on a 1-11 team, you're not going to the NFL. That's it's like having the highest GPA on the short bus. Like you're on the short bus. Like it doesn't matter that you got a blue star today. The team has to excel. And so once you understand that dynamic and the stuff that these coaches are pouring into you, is because it's bigger than just you. This is not a you thing. We have to
No,
put you in a position where you can be your best, but it also elevates the team.
that's right. And hey, you bring in a bunch of leaders like he did, bring in a bunch of whether it's former head coaches or coaches that have been successful on the level they've been at, bunch of experience out there, and guys who are just extra hungry. You got a mix of those. It's kind of like having a team. You see those championship teams that have a mix of veterans, you have a mix of superstars, you have a mix of young players, and they all come together under a great staff. And those are the teams that make it happen.
Yeah.
Not
Chico,
just made up of one thing.
You remember this because you're a Lakers guy.
That's right.
Highlight from a few years ago.
And it wasn't just one Laker team you're about to talk about.
D'Angelo Russell got the ball over the wing. He throw it to LeBron up top. LeBron recognizes the matchup to Russell. He said, man, here, you better take that.
Yeah. The ball.
And then he scored.
Yeah. But you know what that shows? Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Your team.
I was just going to show that shows LeBron's IQ, but it also shows kind of like a disconnect of those two players. Like he wasn't realizing the situation and understanding his role right there. No, that's what Brian was telling them right now. That's you. That's your role. I have confidence in you too.
And what we always say, Chico, on this
yourself.
program, if the best that ever did it believe in you, why would you not believe in yourself? Coach Prime's message this morning was, do you believe in you?
Mm-hmm.
I need you to believe in yourself like I believe in you.
Or I can't be trying to drag you and pull you along, dog. So that's why you see D'Angelo Russell gone, and you bring in a guy like Marcus Smart. You bring in Luka and them. I need somebody who's confident in themselves that knows what we about to do right now. I can't be coaching you on the court at the same time. I'm depending on you, dog. What we doing?
Yeah. So what we doing?
Nah, but at the end of the day, man, really excited about this season. I saw Miss Linda say in the chat that she's excited about me calling the games this season. I'm excited too, dog. I'm excited too. I'm no more vanilla. We're gonna be having some things to talk about, be excited about this season. You understand me? I might have to go call the game from on location or something. I might need to go stay at the broker. I might need to go stay at the Boulder Broker and call the game from across the street. That way, after the game is over, I can go jump in and get in the crowd and get in the mess and get in the pile and mingle and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Two things, Chico. All roads lead back to Chico. and that road gonna end up in a pile. Like you can. Hey, we looking for Chico. Just keep going till you see the pile.
Be a pile of bunnies over there. No, let me stop. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna go to Big Ben finish up.
Neapolitan.
We're gonna go to Big Ben, let him finish up.
They call Chico the United Colors of Benetton. Everybody, come on here.
Everybody's welcome. You know what? Before I go, happy past Easter to everybody out there. I know some people that went to church, haven't been to church in forever. I saw a dude walk up to the pulpit, try to sit where the preacher said, "Hey, these seats taken right here?" Or they taken? All right, we're gonna go somewhere else. Try to set you entertainer. But anyways, what I love about my church, and that's I can go to a Catholic church anywhere in the world, and you're gonna see different races and ethnicities and ages across the board. I don't know any other type of churches you can go to. I might be wrong, that you can see people from this part of the globe to that part of the globe. You got blonde hair, you got black hair, you got
chicken.
Huh?
You said you don't know any other type of churches. I said church is chicken.
Boom, boom, you're right.
Shout out to church is chicken.
Crazy. But yeah, I just wanted that was just fascinating to me to see
Chico,
in the back of the church and look at that.
You
thing
remember going to
yesterday.
church with your mama, you got Easter, you got your 3-piece on. And she won't come on, she got to talk to everybody before y'all leave.
Oh my gosh.
You just over there by the water fountain, just playing with the water fountain, trying to find something to do.
I used to hate them days. Then you come over there and try to rush her. Did she backhand you? Like, damn, I ain't know mama was that quick. Ooh.
Get home, can't wait to get outside and play. So you play in church socks. You just take it. Hey, go to BN, man. Stop playing, man.
The worst thing was getting a grass stain in them khaki pants.
Oh, they
them
ain't coming
school
out.
pants? What? Oh, they ain't coming out.
Mm-mm.
But anyways, we thank y'all for joining us. Hit the like, subscribe, comment, and everything else. Let us know where you're checking in from. Runners, mount up. This is Unc and Chico live on TMR. Y'all make sure y'all go to the websites, whatever that is, and support the brands. You feel me? uncandchico.myshopify.com and go get you some merch, that is. Also, you can go to the boulderbroker.com and schedule your stay. But make sure when you schedule it, you say Uncle Neely sent me. That way you get 20% off at checkout. You understand me? Don't say that we
At
didn't tell you.
At check
At
in.
check-in, I'm sorry. At check-in.
Yeah.
As you're checking in, you get that 20% off. You understand me? Wow. Then you can also protect what matters most straight out of Colorado with Miss Denise Smith and go to the new website. The new website, that's www.denisesmithinsurance.com. All right. You see it right there. DeniseSmithInsurance.com is also on the ticker below. You can give her a call at 303-343-3515. The official sponsor, TMR Live with Unc and Chico. You understand me? Unc, ready to go to Ben? We're going to go to Ben.
Let's go to Ben.
Bring in Big Benjamin. I'm not even sure if that's his real name, full name. Is it Benjamin or just Ben?
I think it's Benjamin, man. I think I would say that it's this. You know, my name is Christopher. It ain't Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could be Alpha Benjamin or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, let's go to my dog.
Like how you buying time till he sit down.
and everyone's done a great job buying into the standard that he's trying to build. And so it's been cool. It's been super fun to learn, but it's been a learning curve for sure. So it's been awesome.
Ben, you've been here for a while now. You've seen some teams that are very successful here and some teams that maybe didn't accomplish the goals that they set out for themselves. When you look at this group in particular, what characteristics and traits of the group as a whole do you see?
Yeah. So this is how I've been trying to explain to people what our team is going to be. So I think there's a lot to learn from the way that Indiana built their team last year. You know, they had 0, 4, and 5-star recruits, and you don't need 4 and 5-star recruits to win. Like, you look at what Indiana did. They had a player-led team, and they built a culture that everyone wanted to buy into. So that's been our focus as a leadership group and as a team is let's build a culture that everyone wants to buy into. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about I. It's about the team and how can we make the team better. So that's the identity that we've been trying to build is everyone that's here. Like, we don't have a lot of guys that came from Power 5, Power 4 schools. You know, everyone here is a lot of guys just came from a group of 5 school or a smaller school, and they just want to prove that they can play at this level. And that makes guys hungry. And so that's what I've been super happy about with our team is we got guys that are hungry, and we got guys that aren't willing to leave the field with a loss. And that's the most important thing is, like, you've got to hate losing, like, above all else. Like, you got to hate losing, and you have a mentality that we're not leaving the field until we win. And that's the kind of team we're going to be is, like, we're not leaving the field with a loss. Like, that's just not the mentality that we're going to have. So, yeah.
Hey, Ben. Brian Howell, the Daily Camera. I know getting injured sucks, and you'd rather be out on the field, but how have you made the most out of your situation this spring as a player, but also as a leader?
Yeah. The biggest thing for me has just been, you know, obviously you can't do much on the physical side. So the mental side for me, you know, I want to know every single position on the defense. I want to be able to play. If, you know, I would hope that we would never have to have me play nose, but, you know, if I had to play one technique, I want to know that I'd be able to do it, you know? And so that's been the biggest thing for me is, can I learn every single position, and can I know the techniques? Can I know every little detail about it? And so, like, if guys have a question, they can come talk to me, or, you know, and I also need it for my own self, you know, like I'm not the fastest, I'm not the most athletic guy. So I need it in terms of how I'm going to make plays, knowing, you know, how each position fits within the defense. So that's been the biggest thing for me on the field. Off the field, trying to build the team. You know, we all I've been focused on is how can we get around each other, and how can we, you know, make it a brotherhood and make it a team. So, like, we've been going to church. Well, most of us have been going to church. We've been trying to, you know, respectful of everyone's, you know, religious beliefs and all that, but we've been trying to all be rooted together in the same church. We got a big group of us that goes to church together. And this past Sunday on Easter, we did a barbecue at Tyler Martinez and Carson Westbrook's house, and the late great Brayton Keith. You know, he lives there too. But that's my dog too, so I had to shout him out real quick. But yeah, so we did a big barbecue at their house, and there was like 50 guys that pulled up, and we were like, well, I guess we're gonna start doing this and making all the freshmen pay maybe. But yeah, but it's so we're gonna start making that a weekend thing, and, you know, just trying to get everyone around each other has been the biggest thing. So that's what I'm going to continue to try and do while I'm out.
What's up, Ben? Jake
Hey, bro.
Schwantz from DMVR. Good to see you moving around again. Just with guys like Boo, Nate, Randon, you just have some playmakers back there. Cree too. What have you seen from the secondary this spring?
Yeah, man, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to brag on us a little bit. I think the secondary is going to be the best team, or the best room on the whole team this year, to be honest with you. There's guys that are flashing that I expected it because I see the way they study and I see the way they approach their work. You know, I'm going to start with Nate because he's in my room and he's one of my guys. You know, he's a playmaker, dog, and it's super cool. He's a little undersized, but he doesn't play like it at all. Like, he comes down and he hits. So he's been really fun to watch. I'm gonna start. You know, I'll get to the corners room in a sec. Braylon also, like, he's a young, like, top down. This is the best safety room I've ever seen. And Braylon has really come along, and he annoys me trying to, you know, watch film every single day. And he's like, bro, I got to get on the board. Like, I need you to help me get on the board. So I draw plays with him every single day, and we're drawing up coverages. And, you know, Rando, obviously, he's one of the older guys, and he's one of the leaders of the room. Jay Hardy doing a great job coming along, job making plays. All these guys, like, I've never seen a room this deep before in the safety room. And we got, you know, some injuries and stuff going on right now, so we've had to shuffle some guys around, but none of them are excuse makers. All they do is work, put the time in, and, you know, it starts with Coach Vaughn. Like, I love Coach Vaughn. He's the definition of a player's coach, and he's bought into us like nobody I've ever seen. And so he's an easy coach to want to play for. Like he just all he wants to do is just see all of us win. And so it starts with him, and he's been a fantastic leader for all of us to follow. And same with Paul. He's a recent addition to the safety room too, and he's doing a great job too. He plays like a corner a little bit sometimes, but he's getting it out of him, and he's coming downhill and starting to smack some people. So, but yeah, in the corners room, I love Cree, man. He's one of my best friends, and I'll be visiting him in Phoenix over the May break. So we're gonna get some training in together over the break. And yeah, all the corners, they're coming along too. It's a new defense for them. They're learning as well. But Coach Fletch is doing a great job, and all of them. RJ's doing a great job leading. Vickers he's trying to be a leader. He's getting there. But everyone's buying into the process and buying into the culture. So I'm proud of every single one of those guys.
I've been kind of building off that. You talked about the team's mentality, mentioned a few leaders there.
Yeah.
Who are the guys you can consistently count on to help you out in that leadership regard, both offensively and defensively?
Yeah, I'll start defensively. RJ for sure. It's everyone's got different styles of leadership, and it's important that you don't try and bring out other parts of them, because I think they'll lose other parts of them. So Nate's doing Nate's a leader in terms of his playmaking. He's not the big rah guy, the I'm going to line everybody up guy. That's not what he does, but he makes plays, and everyone can learn from how to make plays and how to be a playmaker. Same with Cree. He's trying to, and it's a new thing for him, especially because he's a corner. Like he's not a guy that's used to talking and having to line people up. So he leads with his playmaking abilities. RJ's a guy that's trying to speak up, be vocal. When things aren't going right, like how can I, like we need to put a stop to this, and what changes do we need to make? And same with Rando and Jay Hardy as well. And Ja also, like he's just a playmaker. He's not a super vocal guy, which that's not what we're asking him to be. He's a playmaker, and that's who we want him to be. In the linebacker room, Gideon, Leonga, Tyler Martinez, those guys are all doing a fantastic job. They're all super vocal. They're playmakers. Bo LaPena is he's getting to be a vocal guy. He's trying, he's once again, he's not a super loud guy. But he's trying, and he's stepping up at the right time. And in the D line room, Balansama Kamara, that's my dog. And when things aren't going right, he's gonna be the first one to say something, and he's gonna get in people's butt about it. Probably shouldn't say that. He's gonna get in people's ear about it. But yeah, Balansama Kamara, I had to shout him out. And same with Vili. Vili's doing he's just a playmaker, man. And same with Manny. He's a great playmaker, and Toby too. All those guys are just playmakers. And then offensively, the quarterback room, they're battling. Like truly, they're going head to head right now, and it's been super fun to watch. And they're both trying to outcompete each other in terms of leadership. They're trying to outcompete each other on the field. So they're doing a great job with that. The tight ends, they just take care of business. You ain't gotta sleep you can go to sleep at night and not even have to think about the tight ends. Brady and Zach, they're gonna hold down the fort no matter what. In the running back room, DT, DT's just a rock. Like he's gonna speak up when things aren't going right, and he's gonna hit you, and he's gonna run fast and do all the things that that he does. In the wide receiver room, I can't wait to see DeAndre Moore get back, to be honest with you, because we've been in the training room together every day and just having a conversation with him, and that dude's a leader. And so I'm excited to see what he's going to do. He's super vocal and doesn't put up with the little things. That's what I love about him. Danny Scudero, just a playmate, that's my boy. We might be roommates pretty soon here, but Danny's just a playmaker. He's trying to be one of those vocal guys. He's super vocal, but he's just on the field. He plays so many plays that he probably just doesn't feel like talking. So I got a little bit of, especially right now with the wide receivers being down. And same with KP, Cam Perry, just a playmaker, just shows how to do it. And then in the O-line room, Yo-Yo, Yo-Yo's just give me Yo-Yo. Like he doesn't shut up. And he's leading the way for all those guys. And that's, there's a lot of new guys in that room as well, but they're all coming together, doing a great job as well. So yeah, sorry, I just named like the whole team, but whatever.
Yeah, I know you just named out the whole team, but I just want to ask, I know you mentioned the barbecue and, eating together at church, that kind of thing. Is there anything else outside of football you guys are doing to kind of build chemistry with so many transfers?
Yeah, so the other day we started making a bucket list because we were just coming up with ideas of all the things that we wanted to do. So I was like, I'm just gonna make a bucket list and plan them all for every weekend of the summer when we get back. So yeah, we got a fishing trip planned. We got a camping trip planned. The camping trip, I want to do a little character building, but that's probably not going to be allowed. So, so probably not going to happen with that one. But yeah, so that, and then we got a trip planned to Durango for the week of July 4th, where I'm from, where me and Taggart are from. So we're just gonna open up our houses. Like we told our parents, like, yeah, there might be like 50 players or so coming down, and buy a lot of food, and we're just gonna, chill outside, go, do some fishing, go do some boating, do some hopefully rock climbing if we can get that done. And then just hanging out with each other, like just spending time with each other. It's a 6-hour road trip that we're all gonna drive down. That might be a headache, but it's gonna be fun. And so I gotta have to look at the bucket list. Some stuff I probably shouldn't say either, but like wiffle ball, we're trying to do a big wiffle ball day, a softball game against each other. So yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff planned, but I'd have to pull up my note sheet to look at that for you. So yeah.
All right, last one. Go ahead. How's it going? Emmett Lynch with Overlook Sports. You earned a scholarship last season, which is tough to do at the SBS level. What was it like coming into this program as a walk-on, and what's some advice that you could give to student athletes looking to earn a scholarship at this level?
That's a great question right there. I think, yeah, I'm extremely. I finally got to meet the people that fund my scholarship the other day. I've been asking all year, but they're great people, and I was super excited to meet them. This is what I read this book a while ago. It's called The Secret. It's about the law of attraction, and I got it from Conor McGregor, who I was like, why does he like act the way that he does, and then he does what he says? And so I was like, I wanted to learn from him, and that was a book that he read. And so it's basically a quantum physics book, but there's a quote in it that says, whether you think you can or think you can't, either way you're right. And I think that's the biggest thing, like especially for me as being a walk-on. I always had the vision for myself that that's what it would be. And some guys, I think the things you tell yourself is the things that are going to end up coming to fruition in your life. So I think that's what for me, what ended up working out for me. But I think there's a lot of guys that are going to be following my footsteps as well, and I sure hope there is. So yeah,
Thanks, Ben.
Appreciate you guys.
Get him prime. Now you know, hit up. Take her back, prime. Hey, you had a goal, but not till you made.
Well, they ain't going like you wanted to go. Everybody in here, they ain't going like you wanted to go. It's something that just ain't going right. But who are you through that? When the coach is on your butt, when your girlfriend ain't responding, when your teachers need the assignment, when you ain't giving it your all.
That's right.
When your teammates challenge you to do right, when your parents on your throat. Who are you?
Who are you?
You should change with the environment. You should change with circumstances. You should change with the trials and tribulations. You should be consistent.
Right.
With who you are.
Win.
Who you are, be who you are. Don't let the foolishness change you. You good? Sure. Because everything gonna come into the flow if it ain't stable. The wind will get the best of you. But I want you to understand who you are, what you are, how you are, where you going, and then I need you to understand how to get there.
That's right.
We good? Yes, sir. I want you to be consistent. Who are you when it ain't going like you wanted to go? You should be the same.
Y'all understand that, right? Y'all hear that, right? Consistency wins. Get you some shirts, get you some merch, get you some hats, whatever it is. Get you something that's going to represent you being consistent, because that wins. Just like Big Ben said, the person who think he can, the person who think he can't, they're both right. You understand me? They're both right. Get you some shirts, get you some merch, whether it's Speed Hustle, whether it's Yessa with the Blesser, whether it's Uncadelics, whether it's Unc and Chico merch, or the Consistency Wins merch, like Coach Prime just said. Get you some. Go to the website. You can also get you some Uso Toko merch to represent the Polynesian pipeline at Boulder, where it's colder and everybody's getting busy. Go there and get you some right now. It's Uncle Chico, the morning run, biggest dog and the baddest. We're going to get up and about of here. Put a piece in the Middle East. Sharks in the sky, black fists, hot rebel flags. That's Dan Rob. We're going to get up out. Yeah, let's go.